Hey, it's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the RockyMounts GuideRail Hitch Bike Rack and how it fits on our 2022 Nissan Frontier. The GuideRail is going to be a 2-bike platform style bike rack capable of supporting 2 bikes up to 60 pounds apiece. You're going to hold on to them with this dual wheel mount design, so one of these hoops on either tire, the front and the back. So there's no frame contact at all. If you want to get your carbon frame bikes on here, you can. Alternative frame bikes will work as well, up to e-bikes because of that weight capacity. And there's no frame contact at all, so none of those are going to get damaged while you're moving. Let's check out some more features that this offers. First thing we'll show off is the tilt. So we can use this handle here located on the bottom to tilt the rack towards us with the bikes loaded up. It's really easy to access even if you have 2 bikes loaded up. And it does a little bit of the work for you, so it's not just relying on gravity, it won't just slam down on you. Granted, that lower bike might be a little bit tricky to get out of the way of. And now we can open our tailgate. We just want to make sure that this pedal is up as far as we can. And it tilts really aggressively, almost to the point where we can let the tailgate go completely. It might end up making contact just a little bit down there at the bottom. So you can't sit on it in this case, just because that pressure is going to weigh down into the rack or the bike. But if you have a tonneau cover, now would be an excellent time to grab things out of the back that you might need. Otherwise, because it tilts so far away, if you don't have a tonneau cover, you can get anything out of the bed that you might need from this point with the rack tilted away. Getting leverage to get the bikes back up might be a little bit difficult just because there's not a ton on the front of the rack to grab onto, but once we lift it up, you'll hear it click into place, and now we can get the bike removed. To release the hold on the tire, we're going to push this blue button in, and then we flip the lever up, and then we can move this mount down and out of the way. Repeat that for the next side as well. I like to just hold on to the bike's frame for most of it if I can, because once we start loosening these up, the bike is going to start shifting up and down the tray. So with our arms off and out of the way, I can get the bike removed. Putting this arm down, if I re-engage this, you'll hear it start making that ratcheting and those micro adjustments. Also on the end here, we can see that there is a space for us to move our tire size around. This just mounts at the top. You can loosen it up with the provided tools, move it down to accommodate whatever size you want to need. And now we can close this up. And unfortunately, the one drawback of this rack that I come into early is the fact that it does only support a tire width of 3 inches with the trays as they come, but it does support a wheelbase of up to 55 inches, which still will fit most of the bikes that we talked about. But from here, I'll get a measurement so we can see what it's like to add this onto the back of the vehicle. From the bumper to the furthest point back, we're going to be looking at about 28 inches here. So honestly, with everything that comes included, it doesn't stick out too bad at all. It's got a really nice rise and that stadium design. So our ground clearance is going to be up to 28 inches, and as high as you're going to have to lift those bikes, it's going to be closer to 31 inches. So could be good for ground clearance. It's not going to go. You're not going to run into any issues as far as going up hills or over curbs, but you will have to lift this second bike pretty high up. That being said, we can fold it up towards the vehicle to save a little bit of that space. Just by pulling that same handle we did before. Hear it click into place again, and we can get that new measurement. Now from the bumper to the furthest point out, it's going to be almost exactly 1 foot, so 12 inches. It sits a little bit close, but you still have about 2 1/4 inches from the closest point, and it's built really well, so it's not really going to get any closer than that. Now we can take a look at what this rack is going to cover up on the back. So as far as our license plate goes, it's down here straight in the middle, so the rack is going to block a good amount of that. But from either angle, we should have some way to see it from this window in between the trays. As far as the backup camera goes, kind of the same thing. It's directly in the middle here, so you'll have a decent amount of room over the top of that, but as far as the bottom and the middle are concerned, you're definitely going to see the rack in the way there. The arms don't go quite wide enough to really interfere with our taillights at all, and it does sit really low, so it's not going to come in contact with the top of our tailgate or anywhere where we're going to see it out of the rear view window. On the top of the trays here, we can see that there's this lock cord. That's going to be to secure the really heavy duty cable lock that comes with the rack. It fits right into this slot, attaches right there, and then we lock it up with the lock cord. So it is a heavy duty chain lock, much larger than most cable locks, so we definitely don't recommend driving with that on. But we can come down to the shank of the rack now, It does have a 2-inch shank that fits into our 2-inch hitch receiver. It's held in place by this anti-rattle bolt with the lock at the end. That's going to be key to the lock core for chain lock that we just talked about. Overall, the RockyMounts GuideRail is a really well built bike rack. I do like the fact that it does have that tray design that allows us to get our bikes back and forth so that they're not making contact while we're driving. It's got a really nice build quality. It tilts and folds, and the tilt is pretty aggressive, so it's one of the furthest we've tested on this vehicle. It's one that allows us to get the tailgate the most open. So if you do have a tonneau cover and you need that ability to get in there with the bikes loaded up, this is definitely a great option. I will say, if you wouldn't mind stepping up your price point just a little bit to a more premium rack, you could check out something like the Kuat Piston Pro. Works in a very similar way with that dual wheel mount design and that tray, but it's going to get you a little bit of a larger tire size, as well as some more features like a ramp add-on and a light kit if you have 4-pole wiring. So if you are interested in that, you could check it out. This again though is going to be a solid value option as far as a dual wheel mount design rack goes. Again, this was just a quick look at the RockyMounts GuideRail, how it fits on our 2022 Nissan Frontier.
We're going to take it out here on the test course. First thing we're going to do is hit the bumps. We're just going to see what it's like if we did hit some speed bumps. I'm watching the bike, watching how it holds on the tires. It looks like it moves just a little bit, not too much. This is mostly standard with other bike racks, so nothing to worry about. The bike doesn't look like it's going anywhere. Now we're going to go a little bit faster in the parking lot. I'm going to take some aggressive turns and see how it handles there. Looks like it's fine. I see a little movement again, but again, the bike's not going anywhere, so I don't have to worry about it.